6 years ago this weekend on the 19th is our anniversary. I found a really good thing when I married my wife, Jocelyn. When the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing, he's not just saying find any old woman, but he's saying find a godly wife, find somebody who has a relationship with God and hears the voice of the Lord for themselves. I'm not even talking about someone that just goes to church. I'm talking about the importance of them actually hearing the voice of God for themselves. So right now I'm reading Nick Foles' book. He's the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, was the backup, but then started in the Super Bowl MVP. I'm telling you, this is one of the most difficult things I've ever read. I just read Drew Brees' book earlier, and he was talking about beating the Vikings, and now I'm reading Nick Foles. I don't know what I'm doing, but these are good, godly people who have great examples of a godly life, and I enjoy reading their stories, as painful as they are. But in Nick Foles' book, he talks about when he contemplated retirement after his season with the St. Louis Rams in 2015. I had read about this before when he won the Super Bowl and people were saying, oh, he almost retired, but he didn't. When I read his book, he was saying basically his mind was made up. He was done. He wasn't gonna play football anymore. He had lost his love for the game and he wasn't gonna play anymore. And actually it was his wife who had a pretty heated discussion with him and told him, I think you should give it at least one more year, and then if you don't want to play football after that, that's fine. You can be done. And he said he had an argument with her, and they weren't happy, and they decided, okay, go off on your own, pray about it, and see what God says. And God told him to give it one more shot. He played 1 year with the Chiefs, and then another year with the Eagles, and he won the Super Bowl. It was fantastic for them, not for me. But obviously, if he wouldn't have come back, he wouldn't have had that amazing season. And he had to listen to his wife, and his wife had already heard from God and told him you should give it one more year, but he needed to hear from God himself. So first of all, how important was it that his wife heard from God that he wasn't supposed to be done? Because you would think a good supportive wife would say whatever you need, whatever you want, if you think it's time to retire, then it's time to retire. But she heard from God that it wasn't time to retire yet. And then he actually heard from God himself. If they would have just been arguing back and forth, they wouldn't have got anywhere. But when he went on his own and talked to God himself, he found out he was supposed to keep playing, and God could speak to him directly. So God will speak to you through your spouse, but he'll also speak to you directly. Joss and I are about to celebrate our 6th year anniversary, and it's been the best 6 years of my life, and that's not even just saying this because she'll probably watch it. But I want to tell you a story about when we first got married. She actually moved to North Dakota for me because I was in North Dakota for a job. Less than 2 months after we got married, I got laid off. So we're stuck in North Dakota, and I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. I guess we need to get out of our lease and we need to move back home and find something there and regroup and do something else. And she said, no. I feel like God's telling us to stay. And I was like, are you kidding me? God's not telling us to stay in North Dakota. I don't have a job. Like, this is where we came. It's not like there's so many opportunities in my field. Yeah, I could probably go get a job on a farm somewhere, but that's obviously not what God called me to do. She said, no, we're supposed to stay. And I prayed about it and God said, no. Exhaust your resources out there, then you can come home. Long story short, within a week, I had a better job that I really loved, that paid more, and it was great. And it was God taking care of us, but God used my wife who heard God for herself. I just want to stress the importance of finding a wife that hears God for herself. I grew up in the church, and the whole wives submit to your husband thing, people figuring out the man's the head of the household, what does that look like, blah, blah, blah. But if you both hear God, then the idea of who's in charge doesn't matter because you both are following God and you're gonna be going in the same direction. My wife's just amazing. And it's so important to find yourself a good wife, a good partner to share your life with. Jocelyn, I know you're gonna watch this. I love you. You're the best. It's been the best 6 years of my life. I'm so thankful that I found a godly woman that hears the voice of the Lord for herself. And I'm telling you guys, I don't care how cute she is. I don't care how nice she is. I don't care how put together she is. I don't even care if she goes to church every single Sunday. If she doesn't hear the voice of the Lord for herself, don't marry her. Get that figured out first. When you find a wife, a woman of God who hears God for herself, you find a good thing. Believe me, I know, because I found a really good thing.